Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of Techniche Tips. I am your host, Joseph M. Smith, and like always, I have another one for you. So excited for you to join us today on this edition of Techniche Tips. I'm going to talk about our guests, but just a couple of housekeeping rules. I just want to give a shout out to those that are in the building. So, like always, let me know if you're brand new and where you might be tuning in from. All right, just let me know if where you're brand new, where you might be tuning in from, because I want to make sure that we acknowledge you. And first things first, I do have Operation Takeover in the building. Peace and blessings, family, to you as well. And like always, he's supporting. He says, don't forget to smash the like button on your way in, especially if you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and also on IG. We definitely appreciate you there. What up, IG family? So happy to have you rocking with us as well. So thank you so much to the IG family. Now, in regards to what he also said, he said there's a Q&A portion which will be exclusively to the YouTube channel. So definitely check that in. I got my brother from another, Trey's in the building as well. Good morning, fam. So glad that you're rocking with me as well. Love for you and the missus as well. So this is going to be an exciting time. A couple of housekeeping things. I want to make sure that you are aware that I do drop some things in the bottom. So there's a couple of things that especially if you're on LinkedIn, you're going to have to go to the comment section for. But if you are on YouTube, it's in the description, right? There's our people that have been coming to me and asking me specifically about, I don't know what I need to do. I'm kind of trying to figure my way out. And so I decided with members of my team to create a little quiz that should be helpful in regards to kind of just give you a nudge in a direction that you might be bent based off of your personality. So definitely check that quiz. The quiz is at technichetips.com. That's technichetips.com. And you know what I'm going to do right now, real quickly before I bring on our guests, I'm going to show you that and make sure that you kind of see what it looks like. So just bear with me a moment. I'm going to share that, and then we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But basically, what you're going to see is when you go to technichetips.com, this little guy here, I wonder who he is, but he's going to be on the screen, right? And he's going to basically going to be showing, you can see everything that comes with that. There's this quiz. Just click on that button, take the quiz, and let me know your thoughts, all right? So we're going to definitely have that there. As you can see it right here, this is the quiz. So if you are interested in that, do that. And I do have resources below. I myself have taken a course that allowed me to transition into this tech sales career that I am in right now. And we're going to talk about that as CourseCareers. That's in the bottom as well. So definitely check out those resources because they are here for you. But if you are excited to hear from our guest today, I want you to put it down in the chat. Say, I am excited, because I am excited. And I'm going to bring her on in a moment. But I just want to see from the comment section, let me know if you're excited. Put it down in the chat below. Put it down in the chat. All right, awesome. Without further ado, because I know we got stuff going on here. I know OTTO says I'm excited. Without further ado, I want to bring up our guest to the chat, Kaivona. Kaivona's in the building. What up, Kay? How are you doing? How are you doing?
To be here. The energy is lit this morning. I'm here.
It's electric boogie woogie woogie, and I'm excited to have you with us as well. I got Ty Smith in the building. He said, "Let's go, family. Let's go. Let's get it." And oh man, we're so excited to have you. I gotta say this before, and then I'm gonna let you rip and run and do what you do because you are great at what you do.
Thank
I
you.
was a part of right after the show that we had last week. I was a part of a conversation that they had at the Tech Sales Nexus. Shout out to Tech Sales Nexus. The founders of the show will be on this show coming up in the upcoming weeks. So shout out to y'all. But I was there. And this young lady before us, Kaivona, she came in and she ripped and run and she did an amazing job. I said, listen, I was trying to do something different with you that could take a couple of weeks, maybe a month to get set up. I was like, no, we got to do something now, especially because there was an opening that happened. I had another guest that couldn't make it. I was like, listen, we got to get you on pronto. So,
We'll
that,
back. We'll do round two another time, you know?
yeah, absolutely. But right now, this is your time to shine. So I just wanted to take the moment and give you an opportunity to shine. I want to just kind of let you talk about what you're doing right now in case people don't know Kaivona and why through what you teach, they could be better at selling. So I'm gonna let you have your moment. Go ahead, girl. Let it rip.
Thank you. Man, I thought my pits was gonna be swaying on here with Jay Smith, but
Oh, come on.
I feel good. Feels like family. Love it. Yeah. So Kaivona, been in the sales industry for closer to 15 years, well over a decade. Been building and growing sales teams, working with startups to help them onboard their reps. So typically I work with companies for the first 3 to 4 months or so. And what I'm passionate about is making sure that reps have all the tools that they need to be successful. Too often, companies are either not able to sufficiently train their reps, or they kind of have a 1 week of training in their onboarding and they throw them into the deep end, and reps feel like they can't sell. I picked the wrong career choice. But we don't know that there's a lot of psychology and mentality changes that have to happen, especially if you're an outbound cold calling sales, regardless of industry. Tech is another beast, but regardless of what you're in, you need to have support. So that's how I show up. I'm unboring. That's my brand here. So I really give space to unmask, to reveal who you are and show up as who you are in the workplace. Sales gets a bad rap, right? We're known as like the car salesman or disingenuous, or all you want to do is sell and get money. You don't really care about me. So how do you show up in what I like to define authentically as like in your purpose, in your workplace, and still find success? So
Listen, y'all not ready. Y'all not ready. I'm just telling you that right now. You think you're ready, but you're not ready. If y'all are from CourseCareers, if y'all of those are people that are trying to transition into the tech sales, put a 1 in the chat right now. If you're trying to transition, if you're trying to get into the tech sales industry and you're like, hey, I'm scared about objectives, I'm scared about these different things, because we're about to talk about this subject and there is going to be a Q&A. I got to stop for a second. We got Mitch in the building. Mitch, what's up? What's up, Mitch? He's a man, the myth, and the legend in that data. So I'm so glad that he's with us right now. But just as I was saying, y'all, we're definitely going to have a Q&A. So let your comments, put your questions in the chat below. This is very interactive. We're in this together. So put your questions in the chat below. If you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and put it below as well. And I wanted to kind of make this a little bit different, because she did an excellent job presenting what it was that she was looking to help those that are part of that session with Tech Sales Nexus. Shout out again to Tech Sales Nexus. She will be doing almost the exact same thing, and we're going to kind of walk through it together, because it was such a powerful and impactful and interactive conversation that I think, if that's okay with you, Kay, I think let's do that, because you did an excellent job talking about that. And so the first thing that I remember that you talked about was right here, which was the psychology of selling. So I'm going to just be your moderator. I'm going to let you do what you do, because you were excellent at this.
Thank you. Well, I always like to start with a solid foundation, which is the psychology. Everyone has a personal why they're doing something, whether they're money motivated, whether it's family, whether it's first generation like myself, you have family to feed, whatever it is, you have a why. There's also a why into how we have interactions, and it stems beyond just like, I want to close a deal or I need a service. There are confidence interactions, there's intention, there's empathy, there's strategic insight. So when we found this foundation of the psychology, then you're able to enhance your ability to connect with people, build trust, and really drive successful outcomes. So if we're going to do this, we'll dive into a little bit of the principles that condition and shape your mind as a seller, and then talk about the impacts of effective communication. That next slide that you went into is a little bit of a humble brag there. I was working at Yelp, and I always say you got to be a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. If you're in this chat or you're watching this, you're a little cray-cray, and it's okay. We can acknowledge that if you're in outbound sales, our head ain't put on the right way.
Just a little.
Little cuckoo. And in this little snapshot here, I was voted just sticky appointments. I have known to have been setting hat tricks, which if you're not in sales yet, it's setting 3+ meetings. There you go. In a day. My most number of meetings set in a day is 9. So if you already topped that, you know what I'm saying,
Sheesh.
put a strong arm in the chat. But I always say it was a blessing and a curse for me. I was successful really quickly. I didn't find my failure until later on. And I always advocate for people to fail fast because it hit my ego, it hit my pocket, it hit me in a different way being in sales for a while and then kind of failing. So this is showing that it's okay to win in the beginning, but if you do fail in the beginning as well, you're in a good spot. We can go on to the next one because we like to talk about the mindset in that next slide and the condition of your mind. And the fun fact, I know you now know, Jay, but the same way that you would quit going to the gym after a few weeks because, I mean, why would you, right? It's painful. Your muscles are sore. Your body aches. You get hungry more. I mean, it's just all it's a lot of work. It's too painful. Our brain, due to rejection, it triggers the same response as physical pain. That same physical response that you're feeling going to the gym is the same brain activity that happens when you sign yourself up for sales or outbound cold calling. That rejection hits and you like, no, ma'am. Going home, it's over. But in the flip side of that, when you condition your mind to think that when I'm in the gym, this pain is going to bring results. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to tone down. I'm going to get muscles. I'm going to feel good about myself. This dress going to fit. This shirt, this pants going to button up, right? So you endure that because you know the results. It's the same thing with our mental ability and our mental conditioning. The whole glass half empty versus glass half full. Your body will start to tell yourself, and you go on to the next slide there, you have to train yourself into shifting that this pain is bad, so quit, to this pain is good for me, and I'm learning, and I'm growing. So we have to switch that. And it's not easy, and it doesn't come quickly. So we're talking 3 months at minimum. How long did it take you? You've been in for a little bit now. So how long did you take to switch your mentality?
Man, I'm going to pause here and I'm going to definitely answer that question. But listen, if y'all have experienced rejection on the phones or rejection period, I need you to put reject in the comment section alone. I want to see how many people are with me when I'm about to talk about my story right now. Put reject in the comment section below. It could be a reject when you were from somebody in high school. That girl that said no, go ahead and put it below. Because I remember when I first started doing inside sales in solar, and that was right before the pandemic. I did it for about almost 3 years. And that first week, I was appointment setting, had to do about 200 calls a day. It was an insane amount of calls. That was when I cut my teeth, but I thought I was going to lose my mind. And that took me a couple of months to be comfortable with being cussed out, with being like, I'm gonna sue you, all that sort of craziness on the phone before I was like, okay, I think I got it. I see it in the comment section. I'm gonna put you. I see Daphne put reject there. I got Richard that says reject as well.
Welcome, rejects. Welcome.
Definitely had some rejection, said my brother Trey. And if you're in tech sales, you know exactly what that means. So that's my story. I'm gonna let you go back to it.
Yeah, listen, the very first time that I picked up the phone, I left my huddle, my sales huddle, when shout out to Jenny Lochner, who's from Yelp, and I just dipped. I went, picked up the phone. I was like, I got this. What are you talking about? What? Okay. Pick up the phone. I mean, 0.003 seconds. Bang. Just like cussed out, right, banged on, single tear. Like single tear just dropped. I was like, what?
Oh, the tears are real.
It was real, man. I said, what am I doing? Thankfully, because of that moment, I just became a sponge. I was like, she handled that so well. She cheered me on. She was like, all right, yeah, Kay, you got your first hang up. Whoop, whoop. And she said, we're never gonna let that happen again. Let's go run that back and see what we can do differently. So yeah, my mentality, and if you're in sports or military or any sort of background that enables you to have that sort of physical aspect that ties to the mental, or just in yourself, some people are intrinsically motivated to just go for a run at 3 a.m. Then yeah, you'll be good to go. So we could transition into some offense, some defense, some objection stuff if you want to.
I'm down for it. I'm down. Who's down to see that? Put down in the chat. Say I'm down in the chat if you're down to see what we're talking about right now with offense.
Mindset's good. Mindset's right. Then I have a question. Which one wins games? Offense or defense? Which one wins games? I love hearing the answers to these questions because it's a mixed bag sometimes. And especially if you're into football, basketball, soccer, all the sports, it's like someone's either on offense or wants to be on offense, someone's on defense. What we got?
So let's see. Put it in the chat. Do you believe that offense wins games or defense wins games? Let us know in the chat. When you asked this question the last time, I said to myself, well, there's two sides to a coin, right? So wouldn't offense and defense be a good thing, right? But in the way I kind of approach it is, hey, you want to be on the offense. You want to be kind of ready to go in regards to like what's going to be happening next. You want to be prepared. And I believe offense is when something happens, you're ready to score. And so that's my mindset when it comes to tech sales.
Yeah. And even taking that a step further, not even being prepared to score, because sometimes we can block someone else's opportunity, right? You could be thinking so much about you scoring that you don't see that your partner is open here on the left and you could pass the ball, right?
Yeah.
So for me, when I think about offense, I'm thinking about how can I make this person feel like it's okay in a sales perspective for me to move forward, right? So you think about basketball, right? You got your point guard. This guy, maybe he's he's on you, but then he goes to the left and fake to the right? Like this person kind of felt like you were going one way and he kind of switched up. Now, if we're both fighting each other, like I'm just backpedaling, he's coming at me, we're not going anywhere. We're just going to be stuck there on a 3-point line, like nobody's moving, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with football. Like we're on the line and it's like, we got to find that hole. You got to find a hole. You got to go through, right? So in sales, I say we have to hug objections. We have to allow people to say what they want to say, feel how they want to feel, and then we kind of hug them and bring them to the other side. And I'll show you an analogy of that a little bit later. But the mindset is, how can we let their guard, or allow someone to feel like their guard is down, open up a bit so that they are open and perceptive to what it is that we want to say, as opposed to badgering them and force feeding them with what we perceive as value, that be value to them.
So in other words, defense.
Exactly.
So in other words, defense, y'all. You got to put points on the board, as my brother Trey says, but defense is what's going to be winning the game when it comes to cold calling. That's what you're saying right now.
Offense.
Okay, I want to make sure I was on the same, but offense. There we go. All right. So let's dive into it, like you said, and you talk about true objections. What does this mean for those who don't know?
Yeah, so true objection are just straight facts, right? It's not a feeling, it's not an emotion. It is something that the prospect has mentioned over and over and over again. There's no denying it, and it's logical. I.e., if I'm pregnant and I have my baby in 8 months, you can't refute that, right? Like I'm pregnant. It's coming, right? If I am doing construction and my office is closed down, that deal is likely not going to go through, right? So those are true objections. It's not a matter of opinion or thought. That's just the facts. On the opposite end of that, you have false objections. False objections are usually what I like to call smoke screens. Anyone familiar, have heard the term smoke screens before? Smoke screen objections? So I have a big military family. Most people don't understand where smoke screen come from, and I like to always get down to the root and the basis of the foundation of things. And smoke screen is a military term. It's used typically from infantry to mask or to conceal movements from their opposing forces. So if they want to disorient them, if they want to drive off attackers, or what, throw a smoke bomb. Right? You think of magic tricks, like the whole little smoke thing, the magician disappears, right? Those are smoke screens. So in sales, that could sound like, I'm busy right now, call me back later. Patient walking the door, I'll talk to you later. I don't understand, but I don't have time for this right now.
I'm going to a meeting at 5:05 p.m. Yes.
Oh, what is that? I can't hear you. The line's disconnected. What? Yeah. Can you hear me?
All that.
All
In
of
fact, y'all, put your objections that you heard on the phone in the chat. I want to see what people have dealt with before. Go ahead, put your objections in the chat.
love to see it. Ultimately, it's just something that they're masking the true objection behind it. They don't necessarily feel comfortable. They don't feel confident. They don't trust you enough to really say what's really on their heart or on their mind. They're like, well, I need to waste my time anyway. This person ain't going to call back. Like, whatever, bye. It's just what I'm feeling. And then they move on.
Yes.
These are false objections. I love question objections. Question objections are, to me, buying objections. I don't look at it as a no. I don't look at it as a way for me to be defensive. I typically give the easy answer with a question objection. The way that a lot of reps fail here is that they take their past experiences from answering that same question and they give a loaded answer and they overtalk and they start chatting. They never actually answer the question.
Yeah.
So if I ask you, like, is there a fee? And you get all scared because somebody else asked you if there's a fee and they hate it. So you're like, well, we only charge $30, which is about like, one trip to a restaurant. So even though it's $30, it's no big deal. Sir, ma'am, the answer is yes. That's it. The answer is yes, there's a fee, and you move on, right? So with that question objection, you answer and then you pivot. Yep, there's a fee. Happy to talk to you more about that. Insert value. Hey, how's 3 o'clock on Monday sound? So we can go over this in more detail. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. Listen, if y'all are guilty of getting scared, and I'm raising my hand, see y'all? My hand's here. If y'all are guilty of getting scared in the moment and trying to cover up or make something up or whatever, put guilty in the comment section below. I want to see if I'm not alone. Put guilty in the comment section.
Long-winded answers, the long drawn out answers. You done forgot the question yourself.
Yeah. Put it down in the chat if that is you, because I have done that in the past. So I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that as well. Concern objections. Interesting.
Yeah, concern objections are, the emotional ones, the ones that come from past experiences. They're the ones that, if they ask, is there a contract? I'm concerned about being locked in. I've had bad experiences where I couldn't get out or I had to pay a cancellation fee. Those are genuine concerns based off of something that either they've experienced or have heard someone else experience. And we should totally honor that. We should take it at face value and address it with the same way that we sort of shifted the conversation, sort of shifted emotionally, because now it's like I'm addressing something that seems a little bit deeper and you can kind of sense it in the air. That's the same way you want to approach their concerns. One caveat here is I'm a very assumptive seller. Assumptive meaning that I like to just assume a close more times than not, or assume the intent and the outcome to which I want. You don't want to assume someone's concern or someone's experiences that might lead to their concern. You want to ask open-ended questions. What, why, how, what has happened that created that concern for you? How has that impacted your business, your personal life? Why is this a concern as an overarching question? You want to genuinely seek to understand, ask as many questions you need. You don't want to pry and get all up in their business a little bit, but as much as you can to really let them understand that you do understand their pain and the value that you share afterwards relates directly to the impact that this concern has had to their business. So good. I'm good with concern objections. We're human, and if they didn't have a concern, then they're probably not buying. So if you're not getting any question objections or any concern objections, you don't lost a deal. I'm just telling you right now. Was lost, right? So when we go back to that offense versus defense factor here, we can play offense here because they're not telling you no. In fact, they're actually inching their way closer to a yes if you handle these objections in a way that directly ties to their personal or their business or whatever factors it is that allows them to make a decision.
So good. Listen, let me make this a little bit more removed from tech sales. Y'all who are in a relationship, especially the men out there, and y'all in a relationship, and you see something's going on, if you get concerned objections, that's a good sign. You can use that. This is for life, y'all. This is not just for tech sale folk. This is for life, people. This is for life, y'all. So think about it in the sense of life. Like, if I get a concern objection from a significant other, how do I address that? It's not a bad thing. I shouldn't shut down. I should ask that open-ended question.
Come
Do
on.
you want Mexican or Italian?
Not Mexican.
All right. Do you want Jamaican? I'm just faking there. That was a terrible idea. Jamaican or Haitian cuisine? But let me know in the chat, right? like you have to. It's an opportunity to actually take these skills and apply it to your life. So definitely let me know.
On a little bit of a deeper level, though, because I actually just had an experience. I'll get a little open and vulnerable with y'all today too. I had a conversation, and I am very like, mean what you say what you mean, do what you say. Like that's my whole life. Like, I'm not gonna say it if I don't mean it. If I don't mean it, I'm not gonna say it. If I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna say it. Right. And I expect that in return. And I'm realizing that not everybody is like that. Yeah. Nonetheless, I said, like, listen, I'm giving this, and you know, I want this back. If I didn't care, I would have just block, delete. Like, my delete game is strong. My block game is strong. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, block and delete. I ain't got to worry about it no more. If I care, I'm actually going to express what I want. And now it's up to you. I always say either tie a bow or hang a noose. Like, you have to look here. What you going to do with it? And this is the same thing with sales. In sales, I feel like we have a huge responsibility with whether we tie a bow or hang a noose. They're giving us rope. They're giving us objections. They're giving us something, and we got to figure that escalated quickly. We got what we got to do with it, right? A lot of people won't give you time or give you an opportunity to handle their objections if they didn't care. So objections are a sign of care. They're a sign of interest. They can easily just bang it on you. There is nothing stopping them from hanging up that phone. So if they're staying on, you're doing something right. So use it as a good thing.
Yes. And with everything you said, when it all comes together, you learn to love objections. Let's talk about it.
That's it. We have to learn to love objections. Who was it? Dr. Darius Daniels, he has this amazing word, and he talks about how his therapist told him how we all hear through filters, right? Yeah. The filters of our past experiences, our age, our demographic, our industry. Like, we just have layers and layers and layers of filters. And if we don't take the time to understand what our own filters are, and then seek to understand what might be our prospects' filters, then we just become defensive. And we take things too personally. They don't know you from nowhere. They don't know you to not like you or love you. They don't know you, and you don't know them. And because we're on the phone more times than not, we forget there are extra barriers that come with that. So instead of having defense be our default, we got to learn to love them, learn to hug them, learn to seek out information, learn to ask questions, learn to be like, you know what, maybe I'm not going to get the outcome that I want on this call, but if I could get to this one step, it's going to take me closer to the end goal. So when we love objections, it comes with a lot of what I found psychological and emotional and mental things that are just us as salesmen. And if we as salesmen and saleswomen become better at who we are as individuals, we'll find more success in our roles as well. They go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Listen, y'all, there's going to be a Q&A section coming up. This is so good. I know this is at the 30-minute mark, but listen, what I'm going to do is, as we continue to have this conversation, because there's a lot more that I want you to get from this meat and potatoes here, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. We're going to go back to them for the Q&A portion briefly towards the end of it to make sure we answer your questions. But go ahead and put it in the chat if you have any questions, and we'll definitely look to answer it. So Kay, let's keep going. I know you talked about change of perspective. Can you dive into that a bit?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite images, and we could go deep with this one, but we're gonna keep it, at the sales level here, because people just feel like, or sales reps are not coached, in my opinion, the right way when it comes to perspective. And objections don't give us the right to become combative. Objections don't give us the right to run our prospects over with value and offers and services.
Yeah.
And it's more so an opportunity for us, like I said, address those filters by listening and seeking to understand their perspective. And the phrase that I like to use is submitting to them a new proposed solution. And I heard that in the past, like, I like to submit to you. And I'm saying to myself, like, why are you trying to be all fancy? Tell me what you want to say, right?
Yeah.
I understand now that it's respect. It's like, I'm going to submit this to you and you can take it or leave it. As opposed to we should, or let's do this, or, which again is okay language, because you want to be assumptive and try to get to the close. But in this understanding of change of their perspective, here I write a 6 down. You on the other end of the table, you see a 9. It's not your fault that you see a 9. We're just on opposite sides of the table. It could have happened anyway. You could have saw another thing if you stood on the right side. It's just a matter of placement. It's not because they intended to be there, right? We're both looking down at the same paper, seeing completely different things. And I have the responsibility as a seller to first get up, walk over to your side of the table, see what you see, i.e., understand your filters, understand your situation, what makes you tick, what's your why, what's your reasoning for getting to this, all of these things, for me to gain clarity, for me to empathize with that, understand your position, and then now invite you over to my side, i.e., change the perspective and potentially accept the proposal or the solution or the value or whatever that I bring to you. But we skip that step. We skip the step of, let me walk my behind over to you. Let me ask you. It's courting, it's dating, right? You ain't just going to, I mean, maybe you would, but you shouldn't be asking someone, straight to the wedding, chapel or to bed. You should be, giving a little bit of compliments, asking some questions, getting to know them a bit better, and then saying, so how about another day?
Yeah.
So it applies in both arenas here, but that's the perspective that I share with a lot of my clients, because they don't take the time to sit down a little bit, understand who they're talking to, and then invite that prospect over to understanding what it is that you're offering and why it can be beneficial to their business.
Yeah, so good, so good. There are a few more, definitely a few more points that I definitely wanted to point to. Let's go to this one real quickly about time for reflection. I thought this was really good, and then we're going to jump to strategic rapport, which I think that's one of the really things I want to definitely share with the audience. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just love to make sure that people have some takeaways and some homework. We tend to talk a lot about things, and here's a moment of reflection for yourselves. I like to rank this from 1 to 5. Ask yourself the question, how is my body adjusting to rejection, or has it? 1 being, you've never made a cold call, so you're definitely not ready, right? Not your fault. You haven't made a cold call yet. 5 meaning, man, I don't feel it at all. It's water off a duck's back, right? I'm knocking out these calls, on to the next one, not taking it personally. And then you kind of go down the line here, with what perspective shifts can I make to change how I view things. And then if you feel solid, are there any opportunities? Are there any chinks in the armor that I'm not thinking about? What's the thing that makes you tick? Maybe overall you're good with objections, but when someone mentions that one thing, you're like, oh yeah, nah, it's over for me. I can't. Everyone has that one thing. So we're a little bit of a self-assessment, self-examination here. Ask yourself the questions, rank yourself, and then implement something or an action plan that can help you progress.
Yeah. And then that leads to this amazing thing that I thought that you actually coined called strategic rapport. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Listen, whenever I go out in the world and someone talks about strategic rapport, I'm like, what session was you in on it with me? Because this is mine, okay? Strategic rapport is a KP coined functionality here, and it is the way to extend your conversations and the way to have greater access in your pipelines in a shorter amount of time. The caveat here is you got to have some confidence. You got to have some swag to it, right? Tone is everything, how we deliver it, and then the pace, right? So you don't want to, I'm a fast talker. I always have to be conscious of my speed and when I talk. I'm like, certain things I got to slow down, other things, might move on. Strategic rapport is the leader into this rapport value command statement. Some context, I guess, here. A lot of the sales reps that I've encountered have the same fear, and not about the physical act of making the call that terrifies them. It's the uncertainty of how the call is going to unfold. Yeah. So what if they get a new objection that they can't handle? What if I'm not prepared? That anxiety behind it. And the worst thing, if anyone's on here has experience what I'm about to tell me, put a yes in the chat, because I work with reps and their anxiety is so bad that they will spend 12 to 15 minutes researching Facebook, Instagram, website, searching through photo reels.
Reports.
All the things. Yeah, right. Searching it down. They make the dial. The company doesn't even pick up the phone. You done wasted all 15, 20 minutes and got nowhere. And on top of that, you don't even document what you found in the notes. So then you call back in 3 days, you forget all the things that you researched, and you do the research again, right? At the very least, at least document the things that you found if you're going to spend all that time.
Yeah.
So this foundation, these fundamentals focus or help people to focus not on anticipating every possible objection, but developing a framework that really empowers you to be confident regardless of the objection, regardless of the situation. So we can get on into it.
Listen, y'all, if this is good, go ahead and put good in the chat. I want to make sure that y'all are enjoying this time. Put good in the chat. All right. Chance of positive outcome.
This is just stats that I found, and I want to update it to see what 2024. I'll update it in a little bit to see what 2024 is. Based off of 2022 going to 2023 stats, under 2-minute conversations, 30% chance of a positive outcome. Move that up to 4 minutes, 40% chance of a positive outcome. And then over 5 minutes is a 60% chance of a positive outcome.
Wait a second. So you're saying that we shouldn't be afraid if the conversation is going longer?
Nope.
All right.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because we have this microwave, 3 minutes, food is hot, done, ready to eat type of mentality here. And it's like, no, we have to court, we have to talk. And objections typically fill this conversation. So again, if you don't have the mentality to handle objections, then you're going to be at the 2-minute mark.
Oh, okay.
The majority of the reps, because I have a coaching program and I go deep. You can keep it here too. Yeah, I go deep. I go into their pipeline. And I'm like, dude, man, your calls are 2 minutes long. We're not even going to dive into that. I already know what's happening on those conversations, especially if they're initial conversations and not follow-ups. I already know. If I start to see 5+ minute conversations, I'm like, let's listen to that call. I know there's an objection that maybe wasn't handled properly or something that's going on that I can use that. 2 minutes and less, a coach, we ain't working with that. We got to get you to get to 5 minutes. So selfishly, when I built this, it's to really help me have better conversations with reps, because I can coach more effectively to conversations that last longer.
And that's you right there. I see.
That's me.
You coaching in real life.
Yes, coaching in real life. Absolutely. I love when I'm able to coach in person. A lot of my stuff is virtual now, but I get to go out in person. That brings me joy. And this is the formula. So rapport, value, command. Rapport, value, command. And although it's a triangle, we go around and around, little crooked triangle, keep going, and it extends the life of the conversations.
Oh, man. I'm going to stop to go to the comment section real quickly because we got Lisa here. She says, thank you so much for this live today. I'm still looking for that role, but storing all this knowledge. And listen, Lisa, don't worry, you can store it too, but don't forget you could also connect with Kay and make
Yeah.
sure that you connect with KP on LinkedIn. She actually does one-on-one coaching, I believe.
Yep.
Don't. Okay, I want to make sure I'm saying the right
Absolutely.
thing. Definitely connect with her. If you need help, she's there to help. So definitely connect. I have also Faris in the building. He says, when I'm calling customer service, length don't matter. It's how long I'm on hold and if the person heard the concern and actively seeking to fix it with a good vibe. Almost found my wife on a call
Okay, girl.
because of how good it was. 10 out of 10 service. He's like,
Okay.
listen, we could go get, I could get the broom right now. We could hop it because what you doing right now, how you solving this problem, I know you could good. Let me
Yes.
find out what you got going on in your life because I want to make you mine. Faris, you brought
Yes.
laughter, you brought joy to my life with that one. That
And
is so
first
good.
makes a good point too, because customer service, while in the sales funnel, is very different than a cold call.
Yeah.
So I agree, right? When you're in customer service, the length of the call won't necessarily matter here. You want your questions answered, easy answer, give my solution, and pivot. So agree when it comes to length. CS and outbound cold calling have a little bit of fundamental differences when it comes to the quality or the quantity in terms of conversation. So good point.
Very good point. But listen, I'm going to keep on going because I know you got stuff to do today. Let's go to assumptive or introduction right there, and I'll let you talk about that before we move on.
Yeah. So the assumptive introduction is simply my way of getting in the door quicker. Again, I'm an assumptive seller, and I'm bold. I'm not afraid to be wrong. I actually enjoy being wrong on the calls because one thing that everybody loves to do is be right.
Yeah.
And I'd rather my prospect be right and correct me and feel empowered than for me to feel like I have to have all the answers. So the way that I use assumptive introductions is I just name drop. I just pick a name out of a hat and I just say, hey, Jessica, how's it going today? 10 out of 10 times, their name is not Jessica. And they're likely to be like, this is not Jessica. And 50-50 shot. Either they're going to correct me and say, this isn't Jessica, this is Corinne. And I'm like, oh, hey, Corinne. Now I got a name just from being assumptive. Win-win there. Everyone wants to have a name. Or they're going to be like, this isn't Jessica. Who are you? And then it gives me permission to go into my elevator pitch. So typically don't lose when I assume an introduction. You have to just be okay with being wrong, and being okay with being corrected, and being okay with saying like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I was calling another company and their name was Jessica and oh, it slipped my mind. What did you say your name was again? Oh, awesome. Corinne. Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. Pleasure to meet you, Corinne. I'm Kaivona. Elevator pitch. So I find that this wins all the time. Either they laugh, either you ask a question, either you make a joke about yourself. It's an opportunity to be vulnerable, have a good time. And it really moves past the, hey, this is Kaivona calling from KPA. Who am I speaking with? It's a sales call, right?
Yeah.
What are you selling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that leans into the rapport.
Yep. So the rapport here, everybody loves the weather conversation. Everybody loves, oh, it's raining outside today. I wish I was home. Or, it's a Monday. The weekend's too short. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I prefer to be more strategic in the rapport. And that is asking thoughtful questions that are still teetering like personal business. So for example, hey, Jay, like, haven't spoken to you before. How long have you been working there? I'd rather ask that because now I get a gauge of who am I speaking with? Like maybe your length of time correlates to your importance, right? So you say you've been working there for 25 years. I would be like, whoa, you the OG. Like, what's going on over there? I'm insert my elevator pitch immediately because I know you've been through this before. You done got all the calls, 25 years plus. Like, I'm not even gonna waste your time. I'm gonna go for it, right? So the rapport or the strategic rapport, if you go on to the next slide, is really just being really thoughtful about what we're saying. On the personal quote unquote side, yep, right there. When we take notes, sometimes we overlook the value of the notes that we're leaving. So for example, I'm a tea drinker, not as common. A lot of people drink coffee. So I like to ask, are you a coffee drinker or a tea drinker? That way, the next conversation, I could say like, hey, I found that chai tea. Like chai tea is an oxymoron, but like I found that chai. Yeah. I found that chai. Thanks for the recommendation. What other blue flavors you got going on over there? Or I have a 4-year-old daughter. Chances are Mickey Mouse is not playing on the call while I'm making cold calls, but I like to say it because it invites an opportunity to have a young, youthful conversation. Like if they're a caretaker or they have nieces or nephews, when's the last time they forced you to watch Mickey Mouse or watch a kid show, right? Inviting conversation. We all work from, most of us work from home or have some sort of remote or hybrid schedule. So bringing normalcy to something that is an everyday occurrence, kind of bring this into the same world. And then pets. Somebody got a pet or know a pet. So, hey, if you hear my dog snoring, don't mind me. Like, do you have any pets? And then logging that down. Have that be one of the foundational principles of the conversations that you have, which brings humanity and a human component to, I'm a salesperson, but, like when I was working at the Sony building in Flatiron in New York, you used to see celebrities all the time. Chris Brown, all sorts of celebrities. And there's a staircase right by the office. And I would say, I hate New York City. Like I tripped on poop and like fell down the stairs. Like my back is ache. Like certain things like that, because it's like, it makes me embarrassing myself, but I'm human. We all pooped at one point, hopefully every day. We all took a shower, hopefully every day, right? So why not talk about it? So that's my strategy on strategic rapport.
Well, I have a quick question, and then we're gonna keep on going because we're almost done, y'all. Stay with us. The Q&A is coming, but I found that this works really well for B2C, and I was wondering, would you take a similar approach to B2B where you're dealing with VPs of Fortune 500 companies? Like, would you take that same strategy there? Because that's where I'm trying to merge those two worlds. And B2C, all day I'm chatting up with you, but a B2B, sometimes their time is really short, and they're like, hey, get to the point. Do you change your strategy when it comes to who you're talking to?
I take the temperature of the conversation. If I'm getting the sense from that brief, and I will always attempt once. And if I'm getting the sense that, hey, this is a straight to value combo, then I will dive straight in. I always do make an attempt to have strategic rapport. I believe the quicker you bring humanity into a conversation, the greater the outcome for me. So if you got a temp and someone's like, hey, who is this? Go for it. Keep going.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but let's jump to that because I know we talk about intro and rapport here, which is basically, hey, that putting it all together from, hey, making that something of an intro, going right into, hey, my dog or whatever the case may be to relate to that person. But let's go right to value and command there because this is what you're talking about. I want to definitely jump right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we won't get into elevator pitches. Like that's a whole workshop on its own. But value is essentially your elevator pitch, what you know, what your prop, like you have that down. The most important thing here to the value and command is the command. And that's the actionable next step. What tends to happen is that reps leave cliffhangers. And cliffhangers is you just saying like, hey, Joe, I totally hear you. Like, I love that you're doing this. And man, I think we add some great value to your business.
Yeah.
Cricket. Like, what's happening, right? Like, what's going on? Right? You're going to give me an objection or you're going to say thanks, bye. And you're not getting yourself to the outcome that you want. So when you leave that actionable next step, which is like, man, Joe, like I got you. We got some great things that can help your business out. How does Wednesday at 3 p.m. sound?
Yeah.
You better take a look at your calendar right now. Next available spot on Thursday, right? You're giving them an actionable next step. You might still get an objection. It doesn't mean that you're free from an objection. However, that objection could be now towards the time and not towards the value.
So good. So good. And putting it all together here, I saw
Kaivona with the deal. Woo!
I know, right? You were ready for it. You're ready for it. But yes, I remember this part because the gong came out. You're like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't repeat. But yes, this part was so good because you talked about putting it all together. Can you briefly talk about this as we continue?
Yeah, so this is the wrapping it up here. You got your strategic rapport. Hey, John, how's it going? Kaivona calling from so-and-so. What'd you say your name was again? Oh, Steven? Awesome, Steven. I haven't talked to you. How long have you been working there? 35 years, amazing. I'm excited to talk to someone who's been in the business for so long. If they're open to keep talking, maybe you might say, what brought you to this industry, or what have you been doing before? Maybe you can milk a couple more minutes from that conversation. If not, you go straight to your targeted value. Listen, I've been working with other people in the area who have found this. If this is the same thing happening with you, happy to get on a call with you on Thursday at 2:00. How does that time sound for you?
Yeah, so good. So
and
good.
The caveat here is we want to make sure, I want to set the right expectations. This is not negating that you are going to get objections. Yeah. You are going to get objections. The formula here is to keep the conversation going. So when you get that objection and you handle it either with the easy answer, with the empathetic statement, you're going to go back into that rapport value command. You're going to go back into, thank you so much for letting me know that, you're experiencing this or have experienced this. I've been in the industry for this long. That rapport statement, another value, and then command, right? Yes. So that value line should be short, sweet, and concise. Too many people give the whole cake. I mean, you got the cake, the icing, the candle, you got everything in that first value line, but you want a breadcrumbs. You want to leave a breadcrumb, know the objection is coming, leave another breadcrumb, get the objection, another breadcrumb, and you're going to keep that going for a while until either they say yes or we both, put our hands up and say, hey, this isn't a good fit.
Yeah, I surrender, right? So listen, there is so much more that Kay has to basically provide to us. There's things in regards to having an emotional response and empathy and the art of thinking on your feet and cliffhangers. What I want y'all to do right now is I want you guys to go ahead and follow her on LinkedIn. The LinkedIn is in the description below. And what I'm going to do is right now we're going to transition to the Q&A. But before we do that, and let me ask you this, if I could be the guinea pig and I could try to do what you taught us right now, or if you want to just go into your mastery box and wield your sword and be the one to do it. So I'm going to let you choose. Do you want to just basically share what you just did in a real life scenario where we're playing it right now out, or do you want me to do it? And if so, I don't mind. I'll try my best.
I'm down. I'm ready to flex. If you ready to flex, Jay, whatever we want to do, we can both flex.
All right. And listen, y'all, Q&A is coming up. Q&A is coming up right now. So I definitely want to make sure that you go ahead and be a part of this Q&A. So put your questions below. If there's anything that has been missed, if you want to have one-on-one coaching, whatever the case may be, let us know down here. But right now we're going to switch it over to a quick conversation. I could pretend to be the prospect and I'll let you do what you do so that people could see it all together in one beautiful package. So I am Joseph, and I happen to be the VP of sales or whatever at some telco company, whatever. And you're trying to sell me internet or like things that are for my team, whether it's whatever tool. So I'll let you choose what you want to sell it as.
Write these notes down. You get put in a spot, so I'm gonna write these notes. All right.
No, go ahead. You do it. You can tell me whatever, and I'll be whatever you need me to be.
All right, cool. We got it. So you're the VP of sales. I'm trying to sell you internet. Perfect.
Okay, great.
So ring.
Hello.
Hey, Joe. How are you? This is Kaivona from KP Internet. How's it going today?
KP who? Kaivona who?
Have we never spoken before? Oh, yeah, Kaivona from KP. We work with clients in the area providing internet connection.
Okay. How can I help you?
Yeah. So I actually am working with John Sales down the road. We found that there's a bunch of people, I don't know how to do internet, XYZ, and we wanted to make sure that you were not experiencing the same difficulties. We're able to provide faster connection at a great rate. So wanted to figure out if Wednesday at 3 p.m. Works for you to kind of figure out how your internet connection is going.
Oh, well, to be honest, it seems like it's going well. I'm not too sure if we're in the market for something like that. I might have to pass you to somebody else in IT that kind of does that stuff. I'm not too sure. Can you tell me a little bit more?
Absolutely. So quick question, Joe. I've never spoken to you before. I don't believe you ever met. How long have you been working or VP of sales?
Well, I've been here for about 10 years.
As a VP?
Well, no, I was actually started out as working the phones, and then I came into a manager position and then director, and now I'm a VP.
Well, congratulations. I love to hear a success story from someone who came in cold calling, now to VP. I love that. So you know all the ins and outs of the company. What are some of the priorities that you're dealing with right now if internet isn't giving you any trouble?
Well, I'm trying to get more people that can really help. I work the inside sales team, and if you know how to clone people, the best of the best, and I'd love to do that. That's for sure.
We all need more hands on deck. I totally understand that. Internet is a big factor in making sure those phones keep dialing and those phone calls keep coming in. So sometimes the best time to solve a problem is before it happens. We want to get ahead of the curve here and make sure that you're set up in a great place to not have to have a conversation when your internet is down. So I'm looking at my calendar. If you can take a look at your calendar and see maybe what tomorrow looks like, let's just ensure that, no internet problems are coming your way within the next couple of weeks. How does Tuesday at 2 sound?
Well, actually, I'm going to be on vacation since this is July, but you can send me an email.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to make sure this is a fire email, right? So tell me, when you're trying to figure out your internet provider, what's some of the things that are really, really important to you? So I can make sure this email is targeted to exactly what it is you're looking for.
Just how the internet will help my team be better.
Can we pause here, Joe? Can we pause here? Yo, the fact that you said the email thing got me excited because this is one of the things that I coach to. We think emails are the death of the phone call. Yes. And the first thing that we go to is like, yeah, what's your email? I'll give you mine. I don't do that. I take it as an opportunity to qualify. Yes. So you asked me to send you an email. Oh, I'm going to send the most fire email possible because I'm going to dig deep and ask you, hey, what are things that are important for you to see? If you do make a decision on the internet, like what's the things that you want to see? Is it graphs? Is it other people that we're working with? So that typically they end up forgetting about the email altogether. And now we start talking about the information that they just gave us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because I get that like probably 8 out of 10 times is the email. And you're exactly right. You have to use that opportunity to say, okay, that's great. I could definitely send you something. What would you actually like to have in that email? Like, what are you looking for? I want to make sure it's relevant to you. I don't want to just send you anything. Absolutely. And then you find out so much from that. And even could say, you know what? It's actually interesting. We do solve a lot of what you're talking about. What are you looking for? And then you go back to booking that time again. So that is so spot on. I had the comment section laughing at me. They said, Joseph, could you put his cell phone back by his ear? No Emmy for you. This is terrible. You're not using your cell phone. Bro, on a phone call, on a Zoom call, built different. Farrah says, I need to get into sales. Let me cook. I think, listen, I think you definitely should if you feel like this is up your alley. And then Ty Smith said, bravo. And forgive me, I put you in the spot there. I should let you make the scenario, but you did a great job because that's the thing. If you know the nature of the essence of it, you got your value prop. You just got to understand a little bit of things. And we didn't get too deep because some people could be like, I had a competitor and we didn't do all that sort of stuff. But you know what I mean? So it was definitely there. So this was really good, y'all. And I want to open it for Q&A because this might be one of the longest episodes that we have if we continue. And I know that you have to go somewhere. I think we talked about that already.
No, we're good. I got y'all. I don't know how long you typically run, but I made sure give you all time. I was excited to chat with you today.
Farris said that's a good role play. You want to wait. Do you want to try Farris right now to get on a call? I can send you the link and you can pop on, Farris. But if you do, let me know. But right now, what I want to do, the reason why I wanted to stop here is because I wanted to open up for Q&A. So I know there's a lot of people that either went to CourseCareers or are in tech sales. And listen, objections could be a scary thing for a lot of people. I know there's times where, because sometimes you tie yourself to the outcome, which we didn't talk about today, but I didn't talk about that. In fact, as people are putting their questions in, can you talk about sometimes tying yourself to the outcome? Because I know myself, I'm a married man with 7 children. Like this is tied sometimes to, do I exceed commission or not? Do I see my quota and therefore get a commission or not? So sometimes emotionally you could be tied to a call, but can you talk about not being tied to the outcome?
Yeah, and getting tied to the outcome has so many different layers when I think about it. Most commonly, we have to remove emotions from it. And the way that I do that is by looking at the numbers, my personal numbers. I typically have a know your number training, and every rep should have these 3 stats. 1, how many calls does it take me to get to a decision maker? Out of those calls with the DMs, how many
Yeah.
of them become meetings?
Mm-hmm.
How many meetings actually close or go to whatever your journey is for the next step? Once you
Yeah.
find your bucket, it's that an emotional conversation here. This is
Yeah.
just numbers. That can be pursuit issues, pipeline issues, notes issues that your manager and your coach or whoever has to really dissect why the buckets are the way that they are. And then
Yeah.
you reverse engineer the math so that you don't get tied more so to the outcome, but to the process that's leading to those outcomes.
Yeah.
If it's a negative outcome, all right, let's not focus on the fact that it's a negative outcome. Let's reverse engineer. Let's see why it's negative outcome. And if it's a positive outcome, let's figure out a repeatable process that you double down on, triple down on to let those outcomes continue.
Yeah.
Process drives everything. And if you're like me when I started, who focused so much on the outcomes, you're gonna come to a ceiling and it's gonna stop. And you're gonna have to go back months and like reassess. So process over outcome all the time.
Process over outcome all the time. And I got IG family in the building. I want to shout out to everybody that stopped by. We have Moise. We have, what up, Don? It's been a while, brother. And we have Toke 307 who said, I need her as a coach. And the question was, how do you combat objections? And this whole conversation was about. So I definitely would encourage you to go back and look at the entire live. So that way you can be able to see all that was said. A lot of it's right there for you. And then I have a question here right on YouTube where basically it says, any advice for a shy person to get into sales?
I love that. Thank you for asking that question. I typically joke, but it's 100% true. I'm an outgoing, quote unquote, introverted, yeah, like all the things, right? And people say, oh, you have to be an extrovert to be in sales. And that's not true. One of the greatest managers I've ever known, I called him Eeyore. And if you think about Eeyore,
from Winnie the Pooh.
From Winnie the Pooh. If you think about Eeyore, that was him to a T. I mean, slow paced talking. When I first started working with him, I was like, this is not gonna work. Like, how is this gonna work? Because I was just like, when is he gonna finish? When is he gonna finish? When I understood from him is that there was so much value in what he was saying. He didn't mince words. He spoke quietly. He spoke calmly, and he had the best in terms of like managing, like in his reps, the best qualifying conversations and close ratio of anyone on our teams, because he got people who were like me, fast, like in it, to just slow down. So my advice to you, if you're quote unquote shy, is find the strengths in first of all, just identify shy. Like my daughter's 4, and I personally don't like when people call her shy. I say she's observant. And I have coached her. When someone tries to call her shy and label her, I say, you're not shy, you're observant. What does that mean? I take my time. She observes the room. She looks, she holds me. She may ask me, who is that, before she dives in. So Faris, figure out what shy means. Maybe you should be labeling yourself differently. Examine who you are as a person. Is it just that you don't run to give rapport? Is that you are inquisitive and you might ask questions? Don't let that label stop you from getting into sales. I have a training called Transferring Transferable Skills, and you can figure out and identify, what does shy mean for me? How does that show up in how I communicate? And then use those strengths to first when you're on your conversations with calls. But before I even dive into any advice into shy to get into sales, I would just figure out what shy means for you, and then let's talk about that. Methodical, observation. See, that's a perfect salesperson right there. So you're thinking about it as to why you shouldn't be in it or how do you get in it. All of my salespeople have to be methodical. They have to be analytical. They have to plan. They have to play chess on their phone calls. To me, that tells me that you think about a question before you ask it. You might know 3 questions ahead of the first question that you ask. That's someone I want to work with. So you better get in sales. You better figure it out. Let's talk.
No, absolutely. And one thing I would say too is that we've been talking about cold calling here for the majority of this conversation. But when you think about sales, it's not just cold calling. It's an omni-channel approach. You have email, right? Cold emailing. You have LinkedIn as well, LinkedIn outreach, and other social media platforms where you could leverage those for reaching out to the prospect and getting things done. And so there's actually been people that I know of, not saying that you should lean on one, but sometimes everybody has their strength where they are being able to leverage emails because they're such a thoughtful person. They do
Mhm.
great research and they're killing it in emails. Like
Mhm.
people are like, listen, well, people try to sell me, but you right there, you got it because they are leveraging their skills. They are thoughtful writers. They're doing research. They're able to put that in a concise way that makes sense via email, and they're able to book meetings that way. They're able to book through LinkedIn messaging as well. So there's an omni-channel approach that you want to have to this, and you want to leverage all the resources you have so that you can really kill it. So I'm gonna go to our friend Ty's in the building. He
Hi.
said, "What up, Ty?" He says, "Advice for my AE friends that want to move into management or enablement. What advice do you have for them?"
Great question. So, as far as skills are concerned, um, management and enablement, the tools that you need really depend on the type of sale, right? So you have some companies are just why I can't talk today. Um, Corporate, like B2B, B2C, right? So like you want to figure out what type of sale it is, how long is that sale, and then have you mastered every component or every level of that sale. From prospecting is different for everyone too, right? So that could mean you have to actually hunt. Maybe you don't have a CRM. Maybe you have to do LinkedIn Navigator and Google and all that kind of stuff, right? Have you mastered the art of what prospecting means for you and your business? Then have you mastered the aspect of pipeline management? Do you know when to take someone out of your pipeline? Do you know when to close loss them, which is one of the hardest things for AEs?
Mm,
You're an AE that's working with an SDR. How do you work with that SDR? Are you letting the SDR fill your entire pipeline, or are you filling your pipeline as well and using SDRs as a cherry on top? How are you using the opportunity to coach the SDRs? A
yeah.
lot of AEs sometimes they don't have an objective approach to how they talk to SDRs, and SDRs should know enough about the product that they're able to give you clients or prospects that are like ready. They have their value. They know exactly why they're on the call with you. So how are you coaching SDRs to have strong meeting hold rates for you and your work together? So it's there's different aspects of the question, Ty. So move into management or enablement. Ask about the structure and the company. Are they setting a timeline? Do you have to be an AE for a certain amount of years in order to move in, or is it really just a skill based? If you are going into your quarterly conversations with your manager, being present, asking that question. I'm interested in enablement. I'm interested in management. What are you seeing as my strengths right now? What are you seeing are my areas of opportunity? How can I work with marketing or work with a trainer or take on a task from a manager to mentor two reps, whatever the case. A lot of different ways. Happy to talk about it with whoever it is that you're that needs the help. But on two sides of the spectrum, one, look at how you're showing up as a rep, your strengths in terms of your whole process from prospecting to close, and the people that you're interacting with on that process. And on the flip side, how vocal are you with the powers that be in expressing what you're looking for in a constructive way where you get feedback and can document that feedback. Everybody should have a brag book. Everybody should have a brag book. That brag book is every
Yes.
project, every deal, every thing that you've worked on, the meetings that happened, who you met with, what the results were, so that if someone's questioning your ability, look back at those notes, we could go back and say, well, I did this and it created this impact. So I believe I should, get a shot or at least an opportunity for something greater.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I think that there are areas where, of course, internal networking. But everything you said was so spot on. I think I'll leave it at that. I won't add to that particular question, but I wanted to go to this comment real quickly because Ferris is like, okay, applying right now. I definitely think you could go ahead and apply. What I would encourage anybody to do is what I did because I did almost 3 years in inside sales. But I decided to learn through CourseCareers the terminologies, languages, the different things that when I go into an interview would set me apart. So you could always find the information on by yourself. It just takes you a little bit longer. So if you are looking to transition, I would recommend either CourseCareers, coaching, of course, with KP. She's right here. Also, Kevin Dorsey. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kevin Dorsey. He actually has a course through Level Careers where he basically has a closer accelerator, which is pretty much an AE training that he does, and he has like a free introductory courses for that. CourseCareers has free intro courses as well, where you kind of assess if this is something you want to do first. And if you are interested, all the links are below, so you can check that out. We're pretty affordable compared to what's out there, so definitely do that. Definitely check in with KP because you want to learn the language. If you're going to transition, it's a really hard market right now, so you want to give yourself the best leg up. And through those resources, or even with KP, you're going to give yourself the best leg up to stand out. Because what you're going to do is you're going to get those conversations in the interview, and they're going to ask you, okay, great. So what is tell me a little bit more about what does SDRs do? And you want to be able to say, yes, SDRs do research, they do outreach, they do discovery, right? You want to be able to kind of give language to that. You don't want to go in there blind. And if KP, if you agree with that, sure. If you want to add to that, sure. But I just want to make sure I address that for Instagram as well as LinkedIn and for YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, there are tons of courses and careers. I can only stand by the ones that I know and have taken. For example, like Rondell Richards has Say Less Academy. That's incredible. He has a book as well. I have a coaching program as well, which it's an online program tied with one-on-one coaching with me. And my rule of thumb, and I hope I'm not messing up with the sponsorships here.
No. I just shouted you out too. So
okay, cool. Yeah. My rule of thumb, whether you choose me or anybody else, is that a lot of the times people are pitching that they take this course and that solves it all. And no. I am not for that. So you have to have a coaching program.
Yes.
Do not just sign up for a program online, set the expectation that you take it and then, I'm going to be great, right? You should have some conversations that apply as well. I'm happy that you're applying right now. There are so many different types of roles. Use your time smart, right? Be really thoughtful. Go on LinkedIn, look at some people who have the titles that you might be interested in applying for. Say, hey, can I have 15 minutes to chat with you? Yep. And figure out what their day is like. Some people are applying for roles because of the title or the skills that they think are transferable, don't know what the day in the life is like, and then they're miserable. So either let's have a conversation with me. I have a whole course on like different roles, or just if you know the role or have an idea, go on LinkedIn, pick a couple people, say, hey, I'm interested in getting into this. Do you mind if we chat for 10 or 15 minutes? I just want to make sure this is potentially the right fit. Just to make sure that you use your time valuably.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to say it again. This is all to support everything that's being said so far. So this is not, again, this is like an option, right? So again, I created this resource. It's a little quiz. It's nothing too extensive, but it allows you to be able to kind of see, okay, what are out there. And after you take that quiz, a couple of questions that could guide you. I actually had somebody that took it today who was talking to me about tech sales this week. He took the quiz and it said, based off his personality, that being an AE actually might be a good fit. So it just happened that it just lined up. So there are resources here as well that you're interested in. And if you are interested in that, you can definitely check out those resources. Definitely lock in with KP, y'all. Lock in with KP because she's right. Having something that has a coaching component is so important because you need that guide. That's why I love CourseCareers, because they do have coaches, people that have either graduated or that people that have been in the industry for a period of time. So definitely look into resources that have coaches and definitely look into that for yourself. Oh, Justin says, loving these Saturday morning convos. A great start to my Saturday mornings. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate that. And let me just pull this up here because I want to make sure that everybody could see what Kave's talking about. Kaivona here, and I'm going to share this screen right now with everyone so you could just talk about a little bit what you offer as well.
Yeah, man, this is my hat trick coaching program specifically for folks on cold calling. This is not a link that I just share out randomly. I only share it out in conversations because I want to stress that you have the coaching aligned with the guide. The guide by itself, people take it, and I include 3 hours of one-on-one time in this coaching guide. But the program that we talk about is extensive. I come in with you if you're already in the role. We're we're diving into your cold calls. We're having live cold calling sessions. A lot of the times I'm able to book a meeting with that person right after our session. I'm staying there on the phone with you because a lot of people are doing this in hours. And then you have access to the actual course for 3 months. And again, it's to help you improve your meetings set rate and improve your meeting hold rate. If you are not in sales yet, so this is for people who are in sales. So you already have a cold calling role. That is what this course is for. If you are not in a sales role yet and you are wanting to understand, like Faris asked about the software engineer AE, we'll schedule one-on-one time. That is not what this is for. I will just for planting good seeds. I'll have a one-on-one conversation with you. So message me on LinkedIn and I will talk to you about the specifications of that role, the transferable skills. Out of love, just do that. And then, once you land your role, if you feel like you want some coaching, then we can go this route. But yeah, like I said, my max is 9 meetings set. I do this, I'm true to this, Nat new to this. So we have some fun. We have some fun.
Love it. I'm not new to this, but I'm true to this. And so, yeah, this is for, and I'm going to say it again because she said it so eloquently, but I'm going to just say it one more time. This is for people that are in sales already, how to basically do well, excel in what you're doing. So if you wanted to do any other course prior to that, she's willing to talk to you about your career. Obviously, you just said that. So take advantage of that, y'all. I put her LinkedIn in both. Well, it's obviously, if you're on LinkedIn, you can find it there. But if you're on YouTube, go ahead and check that out. If you're on Instagram, you're going to have to come over to either YouTube to just click on her link or go over to LinkedIn itself and follow Kaivona. It's going to be really helpful for you, especially if you are in the role. And as Ty Smith says, sign up, y'all. Sign up, y'all. And listen, y'all, here's what I'm going to say too. You might know somebody who's looking to transition. Send them this because they may not know what they're stepping into. They didn't even know about these objections. So send this live recording to them. You may know somebody who is in already a tech sales role or sales role in general, and they want to elevate their game. Let them go to the Hat Trick Guide and get what they need. So this is an opportunity for you to be, as I say, a blessing to others and send this along their way. But listen, y'all, it's Saturday. This is Saturday morning cartoons for professionals, right? That's what I could call it. I'm gonna start saying that more. Saturday morning cartoons for professionals.
Only with me because we're unboring. Actually, no, it's true. I can label you as unboring too. You're officially, part of the unboring team unboring. I love that. Yeah, stamp of approval.
No, I appreciate that, y'all. If y'all have found any form of value in this, go ahead and put one in the chat. If you found any form of value, I just want to let Kay know that she's loved here, Kaivona. I want her to know she's loved by y'all. So go ahead and put in the chat so she can see it as well. Thank you so much, Kay. This has been excellent as always. And there's more, y'all. There is more. I see a lot of ones from Faris. Faris alone, he's dropping it by himself. He's an amazing value, and I can't list all the ones he has because there's a lot. Tech Coach Ralph said great value, and if Tech Coach Ralph gives you a stamp approval, that means a lot because he coaches as well. In fact, let me shout out Tech Coach Ralph, a fan of the show. Go to @TechCoachRalph on YouTube. Check out everything he has when it comes to QA, when it comes to things of that nature. He is I love what he does because he walks it out with you. He's learning with you and he's able to show you what he's finding. And if that's your world, if that's your jam, then definitely lock in with Tech Coach Ralph. We got Derek also dropping a 1 in the chat. He says awesome content. Listen, y'all, I don't ask for much. I don't make money off of this thing like you think I do. Trust me, I don't. But what I do tell you to do is if you can share this with others that you think this can help, it would mean a whole lot because that's the business of this. The business of this is helping people and helping to change lives. There's people that have landed jobs through this show. There's people that have been able to change the course of their life in regards to their potential, in regards to their income, in regards to their vocation because of this show. And that's the whole goal. This is the mission and the ministry of this channel. So definitely go ahead and do that. If you want to bless, go ahead and bless me. But otherwise, bless other people by sharing this content. We got Justin that says, have to check it all out on the replay, but I know I won't be disappointed. You won't, y'all. And this is not even the full thing. I had to stop it short because of time. And I want to get y'all questions in. But there's more. Joseph about to jump in the Lambo after the show. Yeah, that Lambo is called a Toyota Sienna. Gotta watch that thing.
Yeah, we in New York. We need a date. We need to link up. I'm seeing Lambo.
Yes.
You're in New York or Jersey or whatever. We gotta link up.
Oh, yes. Lambo stands for Toyota Sienna. That minivan, 2018. It's white, and he got some little scratches on it. It's got some little crayons markings. So, yeah, that's my Lambo.
If we're gonna wrap, I do always like to close. I didn't get to do it with TSN, but I always like to close by saying, just because a path is least traveled does not mean it doesn't take you to the same destination. So I looked at the list of folks who are on, and a lot of people are looking to get into tech sales, and SDR seems to be the most common role that people feel to jump into for tech sales. And it is, I don't know who is perpetuating this narrative that in order to get into tech, it has to be an SDR role. And it drives me nuts. It grinds my gears. Talk to somebody about the transferable skills. Reach out to me. Like I said, it's for the love. Let's chat. I would rather have you get into it at a great point, at a point at which you should be and have a great experience and could possibly help me in the future, than to charge you now for, and then just not work out. So just because the path is not traveled often does not mean it still can't get you into tech sales. I have worked with folks who have been in the same role in a different industry and felt like they had to start from the ground up in tech. This tech, please don't do that. If you've already been years in the hospital or as a whatever, let's talk about how to set that resume up so you become just as appealing in tech as you are in whatever industry that you're in. That's my passion. That's my heart. So all those conversations, I want people to win in business and win in life. And it's frustrating to feel like you have to take a step down, not knowing that you are making lateral moves in different industries. So
amen to that. Like the conversation I had with that gentleman that scored the AE, that's exactly what I was saying. Like you could, because I don't want to get too much into his business, so I won't say his name, but he's like moving from like a program manager role. I'm talking to him like, yeah, you kind of could do what an AE does. Check out this course that Kevin has on specifically for transitioning over to becoming an AE from another industry, or now talk to Kay, right?
Yes.
Like, and also shout out to Uncapped as well, Zoya. There's so many people that are doing good work out here that are helping people transition from other careers and things of that nature. So he just said, "Yes, Lord, do it for me." Yes, and listen, y'all. I'm gonna say this too because a friend encouraged me. If you are SDR and you feel like you have the skill set, but you feel stuck, somebody encouraged me as well to like, hey, make that transition. It's not that hard. You can do the work. You just position yourself in the right place to be. So definitely be encouraged, y'all, if that's you. There was something I was gonna say. Oh, okay. Let's talk about it real quick. I don't know if you have a, but there's this new kind of conversation about sales ops as well. Not new, but people are kind of getting more aware of that as well. There's so many different places that people can be. Can we talk about running down a quick list if you could have it off the top of your head of different sales positions?
I have a whole deck. So if anybody wants, I have a whole deck, and I do that training off. I did it with Black Men in Tech. I did it with Citizen Sales. So like, let's chat about it. We gonna have a session.
Part 2.
yeah. Part 2, part 3. Yeah, we can end. If you haven't signed up for Thrive in Orlando, Florida with Black Men in Tech, my guy Cam, that's gonna be exciting as well. If you're in New York, I think he's coming to New York for Cigars and Conversations. That's a great organization to be in. They do a lot of great work to helping folks get into the tech sales as well. So reach out to Black Men in Tech. Not just for me, but reach out.
Listen, your name will open doors for you, or like your name will precede you. I've heard great things about them from people that like they just bring people along, and they basically kind of just walk life with them. Not just like, hey, let's cool. No, they walk it out really quickly because I got one more question, and then we're gonna boogie out of here.
Cam is a great leader. His heart is in this, and he has success stories. So come on out to Thrive. Just join the group in general so you can get updates on what he does she travels, does tours. He was in like Louisiana, Orleans, and all that stuff. So yeah, really great.
Yeah, that's really good prices, y'all. So I haven't met Cam personally, but you know, we have, like you mentioned him, other people have mentioned to me how great he is. We chatted on LinkedIn a couple of times, but yeah, man, if you can go ahead, if this is an event that you can make out, if you're in the Orlando, Florida area, check it out. But one question that I have before we go, and that's from Tech Coach Ralph himself. He says, "Have you been able to help people not in tech, working jobs like Walmart, coffee shop, etc., into tech sales?" I have personally, but I'm gonna let you answer that question.
Yeah, I had a client who came from the prisons, who was a teacher working at Rikers, was able to land them a role in tech sales. Folks who work at, if you're in New York, what's the name of that? It's like a local, like a Joe's Coffee type of thing.
Okay.
Into an SDR role in sales. We've had folks who are in real estate who land role in tech sales. So I can't say specifically it's like Walmart, but I have had like local, not coffee shops, but like local shops in the area that were able to use those transferable skills. Like a manager in a quote unquote coffee shop, like there are a lot of transferable skills in terms of resolution, handling resolution, solving resolutions, problem solving, thinking on your feet, organization, handling objections internally, solving, like all these things that people don't think about. Even from college, when we think about internships, like football, if you were an intern on a football program and you had to manage records. I've had someone that was a lawyer for 10 years working in a records department transfer over to tech sales. Yeah, there's a lot of different industries, and really ignorance is not key here. Like knowledge is actually the key to unlocking your next level in your next role. And it's not ignoring the fact that are like saying, oh, I got it. I know this. I can apply for anything, whatever. Like take the time to reach out to someone. If it's not me, like I said, go on LinkedIn, look at the roles that you're applying for, find someone there, reach out to them directly. That's usually my first step with coaching. What are the job descriptions that you're applying for? What are those titles? Do you know what the day in the life is like? Why do you want it? Why is that something that's appealing to you? Why do you want that? Finances aside, why do you want that? Have you spoken to someone in that role? Okay, here's 5 people. Let's set up another call after you talk with them. And then let's have a conversation. Does not waste each other's time, right? What do you know right now? Why do you want it? And too many people are like, yeah, here's $250, charge $250 for this 1 hour session. And they throw things at you and you apply for the job. Maybe you get it. Thank you that you have some money now. But then in 3 months, you're like, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Let's say 3 months and have an hour worth of conversation with some reps and land the role that you want to be for 5-6 years.
Facts. So good. And Coach said, thank you for that. Ferris Satellite, he says, I want it because YouTube influencers say so.
I can't wait to talk to you. We're gonna have so much fun. I don't see you in my DMs yet, but you better send a message because we gotta talk. You seem like a good time. Let's chat.
Ferris is hilarious. No, yeah, Ferris is hilarious for sure. Smart dude too. Like, yeah, very smart. So y'all gonna have a great conversation. And I just want to say again, thank you so much, Kaivona, for stopping by. I think officially this might be the longest episode I've had. So this is great. Listen, y'all, thank y'all so much. He said, he's laughing about it. He said, I sent a connect request. So he is not delaying on that. He almost married his that's right. Yeah, I was laughing about that. He was right. Girl, you answer all my questions. I'm in love. Let's do this thing.
Man. Well, thank you so much for having me. When they say, what is it? Work doesn't feel like work when you're having a good time. This is a great Saturday morning well spent. So I appreciate you for the platform that you have and for having me on. It's great. Look forward to part 2 and part 3.
Absolutely. And family, thank you again. And like I always say, till next time, in this case, Kay and I, we hope to see you on the other